Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for Fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and today we've got for you a team selection transfers video / we're going to be looking at my scores from last week, game week 32, which seems a bit strange. The game week hasn't actually finished yet, but already we've got to start thinking about next week. It's a strange one when fixtures are all over the place like this, but I've kind of left it as late as possible. Deadline's tomorrow. We're going to have to talk about my last week's team today, even though not all my players have played, but whatever. We'll get to that in a second, guys. If you do enjoy this video today, please do like the video. It really does help during this time where fantasy content is kind of dropping off a little bit towards the end of the season. Every like really helps to push the channel out and is massively appreciated. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here too. That would be very, very nice indeed. But before we have a look at my scores from game week 32, quick word from our sponsor today, which is of course OneFootball. Now, for those of you who don't know what OneFootball is, it's a great app / website for all things football. Now, I personally use the mobile app for OneFootball to check out lineups, some stats, see what's going on, who's getting substituted on, off, at what minute of those games that I'm not necessarily watching. So it's really handy. You just have it up on your phone. Maybe there's 2 games on at the same time, and you can watch one game essentially on your phone, checking out the stats whilst watching another one at the same time. Which you've got to stay on the ball, guys. And of course, it's a great source of news and transfer rumors and stuff like that. So if you do like to keep up to date, it's completely free. Check out the link in my description. All right, coming in, guys. Let's get this out of the way. Game week 32 points. Currently at 56. It's a small red arrow, as you can see. Drops around 3,500 places, which is not ideal. The kind of silver lining of that is that I still have 2 more players to play, and most people, you know, especially around my rank, they're not even really going to have 1 player left to play. So I do have Kastan still to play. Very, very low ownership, particularly at my rank. I think it's something like 2% owned at my rank. We've got Nacho, who's sort of about 60% owned at my rank. So those 2 players are going to be really, really effective in pushing me up and getting me hopefully a green arrow. And honestly, guys, at this point in this game week, I will take any kind of green arrow. You know, with the people triple captain Harry Kane, the fact that I've had both of my goalkeepers not play, sort of Mendy not play, and then Forster didn't play. That was an absolute nightmare. I've made some shocking decisions on my wild card basically that I need to rectify. I'm not going to be proud and say, you know, they'll come through. I'm just going to have to suck it up and say, okay, I made a couple of really risky mistakes on my wildcard that I've got to fix going forward. Namely Sanchez. I mean, look at that. 0 points. He's not played a single game since I put him in on my wildcard. We've got Cedric, who I took a risk on just because I thought, well, who else have Arsenal got at left back? And then suddenly Granit Xhaka, for the first time in his career, he's playing a stretch of games at left back, which is just, I would never expect it. I wouldn't say he's the right build for it. I wouldn't say he's got the right skill set for it necessarily. I wouldn't say he's, you know, quick enough to play in that position, but it's happening, guys. I've got to get used to that. Cedric is in the mud there as well. We've got Phillips, Nat Phillips, who had this last minute injury that no one really had heard about. Another 0-pointer there. So in many respects, I am in the mud because I can only play 9 players this game week. I've only played 7 players so far, and I can only play a maximum of 9, which is just, it's really not ideal, is it? It's really not great, but it is what it is. I made a cut off, maybe took too much of a chance on Cedric. I should have just kept it simple. Maybe tried to get a bit too smart with Sanchez. Maybe I should have listened to Spurs fans a little bit more when they were saying, you know, I know Sanchez has been playing, you know, the last 20 games, but he's going to drop out of favour. That's kind of exactly what's happened, sort of at the exact point where I put him in. So yeah, maybe I could have gone for a Reguilon there, but I was a little bit worried about Davies coming back at the time. I can make excuses all I like, but the fact is, there's a couple of mistakes in here that I do need to correct in order to get my team back to where I want it to be. The good thing is, this team is very, very, very close to what I want it to be, and I think I can have pretty much my ideal 11 within 2 transfers, which is good. Then it would just be a case of sorting out the bench after, but that's kind of secondary. We'll work out the bench later, but as long as I can get a starting 11 that I really, really love, and it can easily do that, now I'm going to be pretty happy moving forward. But small red arrow so far. I do think that is going to turn into a green arrow by the end of, well, today, I guess. But, yeah, 9 players playing is not something you really want to see, is it? So, yeah, let's just park that one for a minute and let's talk about game week 33 and how I'm going to set up. Obviously, it's a blank game week. Obviously, we're going to have some missing players. We're going to have even more missing players, knowing my players that I have that don't even play. Let's talk about that, guys. So, new game week, new blank pitch. 1.9 million in the bank. So we've got a little bit of money in the bank. One free transfer to use. Maybe we'll take a -4. And I know you guys will say, taking a -4 just a couple of weeks after using a wild card. Look, what do you want me to do? Just be stubborn and stick with what I've got? Or be progressive and try and make the transfers and get the players that I actually want? We'll move on. So, guys, we're going to start you off with goal with Mendy. I do think this is a difficult fixture against West Ham, although that doesn't necessarily mean I don't think Chelsea can keep a clean sheet. Chelsea can keep a clean sheet against anyone. You would back them, a decent chance of them getting a clean sheet against, Man City, Man United, whoever. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because they've just been quite good defensively, or really good defensively, in fact. So the fact that it's a difficult fixture, and I do think it is, it's difficult, more difficult than most. It doesn't mean I don't back Chelsea to keep a clean sheet here. Now, the question on many of you guys' lips is going to be, is this Mendy in the mud? Is he going to be replaced by Kepa permanently? Is there going to be constant rotation now? Well, the feeling amongst Chelsea fans, and I think I do need to get into a bit more of a habit of speaking to fans of these football clubs, is that this is going to be fine. It was a one-off. Mendy is going to come back and he's going to play every game for the rest of the season. That is kind of the opinion amongst Chelsea fans. I don't think there's anything to suggest that Kepa is now the main goalkeeper. There's really nothing to suggest that whatsoever. So I wouldn't worry, guys, to be honest. It's not like Mendy's been playing badly or anything like that. He just had a little bit of a rest, that's all. So that's absolutely going to be fine, guys. Don't worry about Mendy. I still think he's a fantastic goalkeeper to have, going forward especially. So we'll stick him there, and we'll move on to Kastan. Really nice fixture against Crystal Palace. I don't know how Kastan is going to perform tonight. Maybe he does a worldie, does an absolute madness. It is worth noting that he hasn't scored or assisted for many game weeks. I think it's something like since game week 4 or something like that. He's not had a goal or assist, but that doesn't mean that he isn't due one. When I say due, I mean the underlying stats really do suggest that he is creating enough, he's getting into the right positions enough. It can happen at any point, kind of thing. And you've got to remember, he's had some bad injuries for large parts of the season as well, switching positions, all kinds of stuff like that. But against Crystal Palace, this is a super, super nice fixture. It's one of the best fixtures you can have right now, to be honest. Obviously, we think of Sheffield United as one of the best fixtures. I'll put Crystal Palace and kind of Burnley maybe in that bracket as well there. But we'll move on to Shaw. Leeds away. Kind of a difficult fixture from a defensive standpoint. I think in an attacking standpoint, it's a little bit better. Shaw does like to create a lot of chances, and I do think there is always a chance of a nice assist with Luke Shaw. He constantly looks on it, doesn't he? And he's having just a fantastic season. So I think that could be good there. And then we'll move on to Nat Phillips, which is a slight concern, right? Because I don't know for 100% if he's going to play. Liverpool play on Saturday. That's not that far after their game week 32 game. So we could find ourselves in a situation where Phillips is out again. I don't know for sure. And this you would want a Liverpool defender for this game against Newcastle. So you're kind of stuck between, do I hope that he plays or do I get rid of him? What do I do? We'll talk about that in a minute, but I think my problem is that I can't cover it with my bench. Like, you guys know who my other two defenders are. They're Cedric, who has been displaced by Granit Xhaka at left back, and we've got Davinson Sanchez, who can't get in the team right now, and he doesn't even have a fixture in game week 33. So it's not a case of, if Phillips doesn't play, I've got something off the bench. I have nothing off the bench. So this is going to be probably going to have to be something I need to seriously consider. Is that a transfer I need to make? Do I need to transfer out Sanchez or Cedric? A defender's got to move, basically, this game week for me. Otherwise, I'm going to have a good chance of finding myself with 10 men again, which is not what we want. But we'll move on into midfield with Salah. I think that's a really good, a player to have. And although I have been sort of bashing my team a little bit, saying, I've made a few mistakes, there are a few players that actually I think have gone really well, and players who I think maybe some of you guys might not have these players. They're quite desirable players. I think Salah is amongst the category of desirable players right now that a lot of people want to bring in, captain him a lot for the remainder of the season. He's chasing that golden boot. Liverpool only have the Premier League to play for. They want to get top 4, so there's a lot to play for Mo Salah. He's a really good pick right now, and against Newcastle, one of the worst defences in the league, one of the worst teams in the league, you would say, although they do seem to get away with it a little bit, don't they? You would say that this is actually going to be really nice for Salah. So in terms of Liverpool players, we're all about it this game week, aren't we? In the same way as perhaps I say the same thing about Leicester players. But we'll move on to Heung-min Son, who doesn't have a fixture. I'm just going to pop him there, guys, for now. I'm just going to leave him there for now. We'll talk about what we're going to do with him in a minute. Just bear with me. Just bear with me on that front. And we're going to move on to Marcus Rashford. Another success story, to be fair, from my wildcard team. I mean, I kind of debated, do I go for Bruno Fernandes or go for Rashford? out of those two, now, although I cut down to Rashford to spread the cash, and although the spreading of the cash didn't work out, the idea to choose Rashford over Bruno, because I genuinely did actually think, well, actually, I think I prefer Rashford to Bruno. I don't really want to, I'm not that bothered about having Bruno. I don't want to spend all that money on Bruno. I think the decision to go for Rashford over Bruno was a good one, and so far, Rashford is outscoring Bruno. I know it's only been a couple of game weeks so far, but, you know, Rashford played pretty well. Seeing him play as a striker as well was really, really quite nice to see. I know maybe you think Greenwood plays there, maybe you think Cavani plays there, but Rashford also is well in the mix as a player who can play as a striker for Manchester United, which is really, really positive and good to hear, and is exactly what we like. A game against Leeds again kind of showed a lot of fragility against Liverpool last game week, as they kind of always do against the big teams, particularly in the first half. I'm not saying Leeds don't have fighting spirit, because they absolutely do, but they certainly can get got at, and Manchester United are a team in very good form, and I do expect them to go there and do something. So again, another team we really want to keep our eyes on for this game week. And I seem to kind of have a a couple of Leicester players, a couple of Manchester United players, a couple of Liverpool players. If you've got that situation, then actually this is looking pretty good. And it's a small pool of players in terms of the teams that you're representing. It's actually looking pretty nice. But we'll move on to Jota, another representative of the Liverpool faction. How he is blanked for 2 game weeks in a row, I will have no idea. He is playing so well. I really do rate the way he's playing right now. I think he's been really unlucky not to get something from these games. It's been super close. There's been some super close nearly goals, should have been goals, offsides, should have been passed to, all that kind of situation. And Jota is, although he's blanking, and in a way I'm kind of glad he's blanking, because it means that for a lot of people, Jota is going to go under the radar. He's actually playing really well, and I do think goals are definitely on their way. This game against Newcastle, does he start? I don't know. He's been starting a lot recently. I think he's been playing well. I think he's earned his place in the squad. And I think I hope that he'll play in that game, particularly as who else is going to play? Maybe Liverpool even go 4 attackers in this game. That could be pretty interesting. I do like it when they play like that, and in which case, we're absolutely going to love having our Liverpool players, aren't we? So, yeah, really nice there. And we're going to finish off with the legend in midfield. The midfield legend, Jesse Lingard, which is a shame he's got this difficult fixture. I'm not expecting massive amounts from him. But, if anyone is allowed to kill my Mendy clean sheet, I'll allow it if it's Lingard. I think I could let Lingard off, just score a little hat-trick for me again, Lingard, or, 2 goals and assists, something like that. Your usual business. Just be your usual legendary GOAT self, and I think we'll all be very, very happy with that indeed. An absolute legend of FPL right now. There's no doubt about that. It's not an ideal fixture, but going forward, man, what a player to have in your team. Crazy. Who would have thought? Moving on from to Iheanacho, another player who, at the beginning of the season, would you say Iheanacho was going to be one of the legends of the season? Maybe not. I guess he's only recently started becoming a legend, but he's kind of one of the most desirable players in the entirety of FPL right now, isn't he? And I'm not really surprised. I talked about him a little bit in my buy, sell, keep, avoid video earlier on in the week. Go check that out if you haven't done already. And I would genuinely consider captaining him at this game week. I really, really would. I think the form that he's showing in every competition right now, he scored 10 goals and 1 assist in his last 7 games in all competitions. This is absolute madness. He is on fire. He's never played this many games before in a row. He has never been in this much form before in a row. This is his breakthrough moment, and he's absolutely taking it, and he's going to continue to take it. This train ain't slowing down. I really don't think so. In a game against Crystal Palace, one of the best fixtures you can have right now at home, it's going to be good, guys. It's going to be good for Kelechi. It really is. But let's finish off the first 11 with Vidra, who has also been playing really well. Obviously, he didn't start last game against Manchester United. And I kind of understand that in a way, because I think Burnley just wanted to chuck an extra midfielder on rather than having 2 strikers. They would rather have 1 striker and 5 guys in midfield against Manchester United. I think when they go against Wolves, they'll go back to the 2 men up front, which has been working really well. Vidra and Wood combining really, really nicely recently. Vidra has kind of just been on absolute flames recently. The only blank he's had recently, really, was that game against Manchester United when he didn't start last game week. So he'll be back in the fold, I would strongly imagine, and I definitely rate him to potentially get something, because he's been one of the best performing strikers. Ignore his price, guys. He has quite literally been one of the best performing strikers of the past, 5 game weeks or whatever. Goals, assists, playing well. being, well, along with Wood, an actually okay attacking threat from Burnley. Burnley are capable of actually getting a couple of goals with these two up front, you know. So, yeah, it's all good. Let's whip up the bench quickly. Forster obviously doesn't have a fixture. Cedric is obviously never, ever going to play ever again, apparently. I've really messed that one up, guys. I'm thoroughly in the mud. Kane is not got a fixture. Davinson Sanchez has not got a fixture, so there's nothing really going on the bench there. So we do need to fix the defensive situation. I think that's priority. And I also think I need to remove one of my 3 Spurs players. Now, there was 2 options really. I could do the boring way, and I could go Sanchez and just switch him out for, I don't know, like a Veltman. I kind of toyed with the idea of going for a Veltman or a Dunk or someone like that. Get the clean sheet against Sheffield United this week that Brighton have, and then just moving on. No -4s, no really real restructures. But I had another idea. And I have another idea that's a bit more exciting, gets my team to a place much closer to where I want it to be in terms of first 11. I've spoken a lot about maybe some slight regret that I've been feeling about certain players I didn't pick up. Like, for example, guys, last game week 32, in my buy, sell, keep, avoid video, who did I say to get? I said to get Greenwood, and he absolutely smashed it. If only I'd taken my own advice. So I can either just say, okay, we'll just wait that out, we'll wait that out, and not get him, and think, well, you know, I've missed my opportunity. Or I can just go with it. Let's just go with it. He's still super low ownership. Not that many people are going for Greenwood. I'm happy to back him. I'm not that worried about rotation. Even if he comes off the bench, he's still going to do the business as he has done. So Greenwood is a player that is firmly on my radar. And the other player that I want, and I also spoke about this player this week in my buy, sell, keep, avoid video, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. The problem was I was blocked. I was blocked from getting Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I thought if Phillips was fully fit, I probably would not even consider removing him. But the fact that Phillips might not play, and I do want to have a full first 11, that makes it a little bit easier for me to take out Phillips and get the player I really want, who really can get the points, who is, you know, going to be the best defender from now until the rest of the season, who is creating more than pretty much any other player in the game. It's just absolute doing a madness right now, Trent Alexander-Arnold. So, guys, those are going to be my 2 transfers. It's going to be Son out and Phillips out. I'll take the money out of Son, put it into Greenwood, and use that money that I've freed up to take Phillips up to Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then suddenly, you look at this first 11, and although my bench is still a little bit of a mess, I wouldn't want Cedric, I wouldn't want Sanchez. Aside from Cedric and Sanchez, it's not really that bad, is it? You know, considering Kane's going to come back in for Vidra next game week. Suddenly, this team looks a hell of a lot better, and I just really like it. I really like this team. It's got all the players that I actually really do want. It's got most of the most desirable players right now, the players that a lot of people are looking to bring into their team. And I've done it with just 1 -4, and I've vastly improved my team. Pretty much guaranteed myself a full starting 11, which is an improvement, no matter how you want to look at it. And yeah, that looks a lot better to me, to be honest. And then you might say, okay, do you not want Son for the game against Sheffield United? Do you not want Son for games in future? The Spurs have got a nice run of fixtures from game week 34 onward. Absolutely. Well, Rashford plays Liverpool next game week in game week 34. Rashford and Son, same price. I can just switch Rashford to Son next game week, have my Son and Kane combo back for the game against Sheffield United, and maybe even keep it, and Rashford will just make way, and then I've kind of got Greenwood as that Manchester United cover. So it works. It kind of just works for me. I just think this is the best way of not only getting my team to the place I want to get it to in terms of the first 11, and you know, I can worry about my bench, but realistically, cheap defenders, how many points are they going to get me? Whereas you go for a Trent Alexander-Arnold, can boss a game week. You got Greenwood, he can boss a game week. These are big point gains to be had, and I want to go all in, all out, aggressive, the same as usual. And these are players I have no doubts. I really want these players. This is not a risk. This is not a trying to do something different. This is just identifying players that I really want and putting them in my team. And what else is FPL about other than that? So there you go, guys. Let's do captains very quickly. I think Salah versus Newcastle is the best shout, particularly as Salah did get that rest last game week. I would say with 99% certainty that he does start. He's going to be on those penalties, isn't he? He's still one of the best attacking players right now. He's in the best attacking positions. He's constantly taking shots in the box. He's looking really good for him on all accounts. So captain straight on him. Vice captain Iheanacho, because, you know, I've hyped him up enough. I really do think he could have a good game week in the case of an emergency where Salah doesn't play. And there you go, guys. There we have it. There is my team for game week 33. What do you think about that? Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like and, of course, subscribe if you're new around here. Would really appreciate that. Check out OneFootball if you fancy it. Check out my Twitter, Instagram, join my mini league, whatever. All those links are in the description, so go check them out too. And aside from that, guys, I might have a deadline stream tomorrow. I might not. I might actually be a little bit busy, but I'll explain that in a little bit later once I've figured out what's going on. Hopefully, I can do a deadline stream, but I might not be able to. But I hope to see you there if I can. But aside from that, guys, thanks once again for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.